Hey guys, it's the highlights from Tuesday, December 4th at our chat room at Greatstockpix.com. Man, another fantastic day. This market has been great. First Solar has been, I'm going to name my next kid First Solar. This one's been so good to us. It looked like this. These are 5-minute candles. Had this nice rally. I didn't do anything with it. And then when it put in this base, I went ahead and called it for the chat room right up above this area here. So if it got to this, pretty much where this arrow is, my entry idea was 2806. All right, kind of above this base, I thought this leg could probably break it out for us. Worst case stop, 27.90, so only 16 cents risk. And there's a trigger, there's a high of daybreak, and this is one of those. Feels like it's going to close at the high of the day, but the market's still trading for another 10 minutes. It's at 29.50 right now, so I mean up almost $1.50 from the call on 16 cents risk. A beautiful one there, and a lot of us made money on First Solar. BIG, actually made a couple calls in BIG here. You can see on the daily, had the gap up after just being decimated. So this one became interesting, landed on my radar. My first call in BIG was at 30.37. This one didn't exactly tear it up. Right about here, held the stop. And let me get that arrow out of the way. And it only went to, from 30.37, it went to a 30.68. I was a seller of some into that pop. Got stopped on the rest flat. But then I recalled it, or called it again, a second time at 30.65. Because it broke the high of the day. Oftentimes the first break doesn't work. And so, you know, I made what I call sandwich money on it. Then it was back down. And then when it came back up, I went ahead and called it again at 30.65. Right in this area right here. And oftentimes the second break works very well. And you can see it did. 30.65. The stop was at 30.40 and did not touch the stop. And from 30.65, this swing goes all the way over 32. Another really, really nice one there the second time around. So oftentimes just pays to, you know, protect your profits and then look for another entry. And sometimes you'll catch the big one. First Solar and Big, couple really nice trades. JC Penney's high of day break right here was an idea that one of our members, Nilesh, put out. You know, when JC Penney's look like this, I said, yeah, that might work, and I put out the JC Penney's high of day break might work, and that one ended up getting a nice move too. Netflix, I think this was around 80, I don't know, 80, 20, 25 maybe even below 80. I'm not positive now. In other words, I caught the Netflix pop really early, and I just typed in Netflix pop. Now, I didn't get one share of this, but some of our members jumped in when they saw the pop. Again, I can't tell you for sure, but I know one of our guys made more than $5 a share on that. Several people made $5 or $6 a share, actually, on just my alert of the... I typed in something very astute like Netflix pop. So it wasn't a trigger and stop. And again, I didn't get one share, but to see people make $4, $5, $6 a share on an alert is pretty cool, and I'm happy for them. I had such a nice day between Big and First Solar that I'm okay missing Netflix. I also missed Green Mountain Coffee. I never did make a call on that one, but man, what a run there too. One of my early calls to backtrack here was Kohl's, KSS. Called it at 43.95. This was on Bounce Watch because of the daily. You know, 3 days down, it's actually hitting a trend line here. Have to go farther out on the daily to show you that. But so that landed it on Bounce Watch 3 days down after that gap down. And the 40.95 entry happened right there. They got through the high of the day and ended up going to 44.24. And I was a seller. You know, anytime I take an early trade, I'm a seller into the first pop because I knew I took a trade in the first 30 minutes. I'm not a big fan of entries at that time, but even Kohl's paid us somewhat before coming back down, and a lot of us made money in that one. U.S. Steel 21.83 I called, just backtracking here. Called it just over this little base, 21.83, and pretty quickly to 22. Didn't follow through, but again, I'm a seller. It was an early trade, and flat on the rest, and didn't do much after that. And one other flat trade in WLT, and I think that was all my calls for the day. But between Big and First Solar, those were huge for me. And then one other idea I put out was NE right up around here for a possible short up around 36 bucks, but I didn't give a trigger and stop. It did fall about 40 cents from there. And that's because it was way ahead of itself and hitting the 200-day on the daily. So you can see right around 36 bucks. That gave a decent little short. Again, I didn't give a trigger and stop, and I didn't take it myself, but I did have at least one member thank me and made money on the short. So, guys, trading's been fantastic lately. I can't say enough about the teamwork in our chat room. It's pretty rare that something makes a decent move on volume without somebody at least alerting the room, and then we kick into our entry mode where we look for smart entries after the volume, that sort of thing. So, but first, solar, we already had on watch this morning, and big we added to our watch list as well this morning because of the gap up, and really nice trades there. All right, I babbled long enough. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.